What a reverse, by the way. Sweden won the first match 5-1 and now lost the match 5-1.
The football world might have seriously misread the Netherlands. After a 2-2 draw against Japan, talk quickly turned to defensive issues, lost control, and whether Ronald Koeman had the right balance in place. Few saw them as real World Cup contenders at that point. Then Sweden exploded into the picture. 5 goals, 5 different contributors, from Cody Gakpo, a brutal Brian Brobby double inside 17 minutes, a huge cameo from Crescencio Somerville, and a 5-1 win that matched one of the biggest Dutch World Cup victories in history. But here's the dangerous part. The Netherlands didn't dominate every phase of the game. Sweden still ended with more shots, and both teams had 7 on target. Alexander Isak, Victor Gyökeres, and Anthony Elanga all caused serious problems for the defence. Bart Verbruggen was forced into big saves, yet the Dutch still looked in control when it mattered most. That raises a bigger question. What if the Japan draw hid the real truth about this team? What if the squad depth is stronger than people think? And what if a nation that has reached 3 World Cup finals without ever lifting the trophy has quietly built its most complete squad in years? This is why the world ignored the Netherlands, and why it might already be too late. The world watched them after one game and started writing the wrong story. A 2-2 draw against Japan didn't cause panic, but it created doubt, and in tournament football, doubt travels fast. The Dutch had led twice in Dallas. Van Dijk put them ahead early in the second half. Somerville restored the lead with a gorgeous left-footed finish. Then Japan came back twice, Kamada's equaliser landing in the 89th minute, and suddenly the entire conversation shifted. Not about Dutch quality anymore, only control. Could they defend a lead? Could they handle closing stages of a tight match properly? Had Koeman really found the right balance? And most importantly, did this team have enough attacking certainty to go anywhere serious in this tournament? That's the danger of judging a team after one game, because the Japan result exposed flaws, sure, but also buried the truth here. This was never a weak side. Van Dijk anchoring the back line, De Jong controlling midfield tempo, Gravenberch driving with real physical power, Reinders drifting between the lines, Dumfries attacking the right channel, Van der Ven covering with recovery pace, Gakpo threatening from the left, always there. On paper, that's a seriously dangerous squad. But they weren't really talked about like Argentina, France, Brazil, or England. Respected, not feared, considered, not central to real conversation here. The biggest question hanging over them was simple: who scores the goals? The Dutch have consistently produced elite defenders, smart midfielders and explosive wide players for years. The centre-forward role has always felt less settled. Koeman had options, Memphis bringing experience and craft, Weghorst offering late-game aerial presence and general menace, but no clear guaranteed tournament striker. Against Sweden, he turned to Brian Brobby, and that decision reshaped the whole picture. Sweden weren't a soft touch either. Potter's team had opened with a 5-1 win over Tunisia Gyökeres, and Isak already scoring Yacine Liadzi, with 2 goals, sitting top of Group F. Confident, direct, physical and dangerous on the counter. A win here would have put them in real control of the group. Within 5 minutes in Houston, the Netherlands made sure that didn't happen. First goal, Gakpo driving from the left, the Dutch moving it fast, Brobby arriving in the box to tap in from close range. Not flashy, didn't need to be. It was the kind of goal that shows everything about a striker's instincts: the timing, the body position, the choice to attack space before the defender even reacts instantly right. Then the 17th minute, same story. Dumfries whipped a cross into the box, Brobby stretched between 2 Swedish defenders and turned it in. 2 goals inside 17 minutes, 2 close-range finishes that looked easy only because his movement made them simple. That's the detail that mattered. Brobby didn't just score, he gave the Netherlands a reference point. He pinned Sweden's defensive line, occupied their centre-backs, gave Gakpo and Malin room to operate around him, gave Dumfries a proper target to attack with early delivery, and gave the midfield a reason to play forward sooner instead of recycling possession with no real destination. Against Japan, they had control in patches, but not authority. Against Sweden, the first 20 minutes were direct, aggressive, and genuinely ruthless. Sweden couldn't step out cleanly because the Dutch press kept pinning them back. They couldn't protect the wide areas because Dumfries and Gakpo kept stretching the pitch simultaneously, and they couldn't deal with Brobbey because he was actively inviting contact rather than avoiding it. That forced early discomfort. Sweden's back line got dragged across the box, their midfield couldn't cover the channels quickly enough, and Potter was making adjustments before the match had even properly settled. That's what early goals do at a tournament. They don't just change the score, they destroy the original plan. Sweden wanted patience, wanted Isak and Gyökeres to threaten Space Force. The Dutch, into defending transitions, turned this into a game of moments. Once Brobbey scored twice, they had to chase, and chasing the Netherlands is genuinely dangerous because it opens exactly the spaces their best players want to run into. Sweden did create chances, to be fair. They weren't fully dominated for 90 minutes, finished with more total shots than the Netherlands, and still had dangerous spells through Gyökeres, Isak, and later Elanga. But the Netherlands were sharper where it actually counted. First touch in the box, final action quality, timing of wide runs, and punishing defensive hesitation. That was the truth the Japan draw was hiding. This wasn't a team lacking quality, it was a team missing one full performance to make people see them differently. Brobbey's first 17 minutes gave them exactly that, and once you have a striker who can pin defenders, finish crosses, and create real box gravity, everything around him levels up instantly. Gakpo had more space. Dumfries gained more impact with every forward run. De Jong dictated from deeper without needing to force the final pass himself. Gravenberch carried knowing there was real structure ahead of him. Van Dijk and Van de Ven held a higher line because the team played with purpose instead of hesitation. The Netherlands didn't just beat Sweden, they answered the first big question of their tournament. After the Japan draw, people wondered if this was another Dutch generation with talent but no real edge. After 17 minutes in Houston, that question looked completely different. Sweden arrived in Houston believing one win could put them in control of Group F. Brobbey ripped the game away before they had even settled. The goals mattered, but the player who terrified Sweden that night was waiting out on the left wing. Every World Cup always produces one player the tournament suddenly has to figure out how to stop. For the Netherlands, that player is starting to look a lot like Cody Gakpo. The scoreline said 5-1, but the deeper story was how fast Sweden lost control of the spaces around him. Brobbey built the platform with those two early goals, but Gakpo kept turning it into pure damage. Assisted the opener, scored twice after halftime, 5 attempts on goal. Man of the match. Sweden never recovered once the tempo and space control flipped in the Netherlands' favour tonight. Not just a winger having a hot spell, but a forward who read where the game broke open and arrived first instantly. First warning came within 5 minutes. Gakpo received on the left, attacked space instantly, and produced the move that set up Brobbey for the opener. Finish from close range looked simple, but only because the timing before it was cleanly executed. That's where Gakpo becomes genuinely difficult in international football. He doesn't need 20 touches to effect a move. He can hold width drift inside, attack the far post, arrive late, when the strikers already drag defenders away or receive in transition. Club teams study those patterns over a whole season. At a World Cup with shorter prep windows and defensive partnerships already under pressure, that profile is a nightmare to prepare for in days. Sweden's central problem was Brobbey's strong physical running across the 6-yard box, forcing centre-backs to deal with him constantly. But every time Sweden narrowed to protect that space, Gakpo just found the next available lane. Classic tactical trap. Stay compact and Dumfries attacks from the right with early deliveries. Shift across too aggressively, and Gakpo has room to isolate, cut inside, or arrive at the back post. Push a high line to stop the build-up, and suddenly there are runners in behind. Pick your poison. The third goal, 2 minutes after halftime, showed how brutally quick the Netherlands can punish hesitation. Somerville had just come on. Immediately, the Dutch attack looked sharper. Dumfries combined on the right and drove it across the 6-yard box, and Gakpo didn't wait for the ball to find him. He attacked the space before Sweden even reacted, arriving at exactly the right moment. That goal mattered because Sweden had actually grown into the game before the break. Gyökeres forcing saves, Ayari finding shooting positions, the match starting to feel competitive again. Elite tournament teams don't need to dominate every phase though. They just need to punish the moment the opponent thinks it's becoming manageable. Gakpo's first goal after the restart did exactly that. Then the fourth made the warning louder. Netherlands broke quickly. Somerville found Gakpo. Gakpo drove inside and finished decisively at the near post. His second goal of the match, the Netherlands' fourth and also the 100th goal of the 2026 World Cup, put his performance right inside the tournament's bigger story and showed exactly why he's becoming a serious problem in attack right now. He can score without the whole attack revolving around him. He can assist from wide instantly. He can attack the box like a number 9 he can carry in transition. And when Brobbey's already occupying the centre-backs, Gakpo doesn't have to force anything. He just picks his moment and enters the game when the damage is easiest to do, too. That's the real difference between talent and tournament influence. Talent gives you moments. Tournament influence changes how the entire opposition defends the pitch. Sweden actually finished with more total attempts, by the way 15 shots to the Dutch, 10 both teams with 7 on target. But the Netherlands were sharper around their chances, wide overloads, early deliveries, vertical carries forwards arriving with purpose. Gakpo was the clearest expression of all of it. He didn't just benefit from the system he made, the system more dangerous. Then Koeman's halftime call pushed Sweden completely over the edge. Somerville on for Malin looked routine, on paper changed the entire rhythm of the second half in practice. Fresh legs, direct running, the confidence of a player who'd already scored in the Japan draw. Within minutes, he's involved in the third goal, then assists Gakpo's second. Then, in the 89th minute, starts and finishes the move for the fifth, driving to the edge, before striking low past Nordfeldt. That cameo wasn't just a nice ending to a comfortable win, it was proof of real depth. World Cups aren't decided by starting 11s. They're decided by players who come on when legs are heavy, concentration is dropping. The heat's taken something out of the defenders and the manager needs to change the tempo without losing control. The Netherlands didn't become less dangerous when starting attackers left, they became harder to defend. Brobbey as the striker solution. Gakpo, the left-sided problem. Somerville, the bench answer. Sweden had no real answer to any of them. 5 goals from 10 attempts, 7 on target. Wide attacks turned into goals. Sweden's pressure absorbed without blinking. A substitute added a goal, an assist to finish it. Late punch here. That stopped being a good win around the 4th goal. It started to look like a warning. Here's the most unsettling thing about the Netherlands' 5-1 win over Sweden. It wasn't a perfect performance, and that's exactly what makes it dangerous. Look at the numbers. Sweden had 15 attempts, the Netherlands had 10. Here, both teams produced 7 shots on target. Gyökeres, Isak, Ayari, and Elanga all created real moments. Sweden even had a Lagerbielke goal ruled out for offside in the 44th minute. This wasn't a match where Sweden never got near them. It was a match where the Netherlands survived the dangerous moments and then punished Sweden with the kind of ruthlessness that separates decent tournament teams from serious ones. After Brobbey's 2 early goals, Sweden actually found their way back into it. More stable shape, openings before halftime, Gyökeres forcing saves, Ayari finding space around the box, set pieces causing problems. The Netherlands weren't in total control of every minute, but they handled the pressure without collapsing. And that's where Van Bruggen's contribution gets underrated. Important saves from Gyökeres and Ayari before the break, then a strong one-handed stop to deny Isak later on. None of that made the highlights real, but those stops are exactly why the match never truly swung back Sweden's way. That's tournament football. Attackers win headlines, goalkeepers stop momentum from shifting cleanly. In front of him, Van Dijk's job was less about dramatic defending and more about keeping things composed. Sweden's best plan was to bring Isak and Gyökeres into the game early and attack second balls in transition. Van Dijk's presence kept the Netherlands steady when Sweden pushed. Van de Ven's recovery pace gave the backline insurance behind. Dumfries gave them width going forward, but also pushed Sweden's left side deeper than they wanted. The Dutch didn't keep a clean sheet. Elanga's 59th minute goal was a reminder they can get exposed when the game opens up. Isak releasing the pass, Elanga running into space and finishing calm. But by then the damage was already done and result already settled. That's the gap between both teams. Sweden had shots, Netherlands had timing. Sweden had pressure, Netherlands had punishment. Sweden had dangerous spells. Netherlands had the goals controlling emotional direction of the match. Scored early, scored immediately, after halftime answered Sweden's best spell with another goal. Conceded once and still closed it out with a 5th. That's how elite tournament teams operate. They don't need to control every passage of play. They just need to control moments that change the match. Now look at the wider picture. 4 points from 2 games top of Group F. 7 goals scored across 2 matches, with multiple scorers, creators, and different attacking profiles all contributing. Robben gave central presence, Gakpo star performance. Somerville changed tempo off the bench, Dumfries constant threat. Memphis Depay came on and still had the quality to assist the 5th. That's a team with layers. Coman now has real options in attack. Robben physical reference point Gakpo, attacking from left, arriving in scoring positions. Somerville changing tempo off the bench. Memphis experience and combination play. In defence, Van Dijk leads Van de Ven, recovers Dumfries attacks like a forward from right back, and Van Bruggen stands behind them all, proving goalkeepers genuinely decide tournaments. The historical weight sits heavy on this team. The Netherlands aren't a small nation chasing a miracle run. 3 World Cup finals, 1974, 1978, 2010, and still no trophy to show for any of them. That's not just history, that's unfinished business following every Dutch generation onto the pitch. Talent has never been the issue, lifting the trophy has, and that's why this 5-1 win means more than 3 points alone. After the Japan draw, people questioned their balance and control. Sweden arrived after scoring 5 in their opener, full of confidence and belief. The Netherlands scored 5 right back in response. After Houston, those doubts suddenly look completely different and more dangerous for everyone else in the tournament. Are we watching another talented Dutch side that falls short again, or the start of their biggest World Cup chance in a generation? If you're enjoying this breakdown, like, subscribe, share and comment, and let me know if you think this Netherlands team can actually win it all.